My name is Lauren Kelly, and for 7 straight years, the queen of Evergreen Estates, HOA, treated me like I was lowering property values just by existing. Karen Patterson, our beloved board president, would stand at every mandatory meeting in her pastel cardigan and pearls, microphone in hand, and announce my latest violation like it was a public service announcement. Residents, please note that MS. Kelly's driveway continues to resemble a junkyard. Oil stains, tools scattered, and that vehicle in progress. We have standards, people. The crowd would murmur in agreement while I sat in the back row, hands folded, saying nothing. I'd bought my modest 3-bedroom in Evergreen Estates because the schools were good and the price was right. What I didn't know was that Karen had turned the covenants into her personal kingdom. Grass must be exactly 2.5 inches. No flags except on approved holidays. No visible garage clutter. No commercial activity whatsoever. And apparently fixing my own classic Mustang in my own driveway counted as commercial activity. She fined me $250 every single time I left a wrench on the concrete longer than 20 minutes. The first time she did it, I actually laughed. I thought, okay, 1 fine, lesson learned. By the 10th fine, I'd stopped laughing. My neighbors started calling me the grease monkey behind my back. Karen made sure of that. At the annual block party, she'd glide past my table with her Chardonnay and say just loud enough for everyone, "Oh, Lauren, darling, still playing mechanic? How quaint." We all have hobbies, but some of us know when to keep them indoors. Everyone chuckled like it was the wittiest thing they'd heard all year. Eric Morales, my partner, my best friend, the man who could hear a rod knock from 3 blocks away, would squeeze my knee under the picnic table and whisper, "Breathe." They don't matter, but they did matter. Every fine chipped away at my savings. Every snide comment chipped away at my pride. Still, I never argued back. I just smiled, paid the fines, and kept rebuilding engines in my garage at 2 a.m. with the doors closed so the motion sensor lights wouldn't trigger another violation notice. Because while Karen was busy measuring my grass with a ruler, I was measuring something else. Opportunity. Austin's tech millionaires were importing Lamborghinis and Ferraris faster than the dealerships could service them. I saw the gap. Eric and I wrote the business plan on the same kitchen table where I used to hide my tools from Karen's driveway spies. 6 months of spreadsheets, market research, and whispered calculations while the HOA fines kept coming. We named it LK Performance. The L was for Lauren. The K was for the Karen who was about to eat every word she'd ever said about me. I never told a soul in the neighborhood. Not even when Karen slapped me with a $1,500 lien threat because my Mustang's hood was up for 43 minutes one Saturday. I just nodded politely at the next meeting and said, "I'll address the board's concerns immediately." Then I went home and wired another $40,000 into the new build fund. Quiet engines, remember? The ones that don't announce their power until they're already past you on the track. The block party that summer was supposed to be celebratory. Karen had rented the clubhouse and a string quartet, because of course she had. I showed up in the one sundress I owned, tried to blend in while Eric hung back by the grill. I was actually enjoying a lukewarm lemonade when Karen's voice cut through the fairy lights like a chainsaw. "Speaking of our local talent," she trilled, "you'll never guess what Lauren's up to now. She's dating a mechanic. I suppose it makes sense, birds of a feather and all that." The little circle around her tittered. My stomach dropped. Eric was 10 feet away, talking to my neighbor about carburetors. He'd heard every word. Karen wasn't done. At least she's dating someone who knows how to change her oil. Though I do worry about standards. What's next, a plumber? More laughter. I set my glass down before I crushed it. Eric caught my eye, gave the tiniest head shake. "Don't. Not worth it." I walked over anyway, voice steady. "His name is Eric. He's a senior automotive engineer." Karen's smile never wavered. "Oh, honey, you can call it whatever you like, but at the end of the day, he's still under cars getting dirty, isn't he?" Eric stepped up beside me, clean hands, calm smile. "Actually, the only stains I see these days come from the espresso machine in our break room. High-end work stays surprisingly clean." Karen's manicured fingers tightened around her wine glass. She shook his hand anyway, eyes widening at how steady his grip was. Morales, she repeated, like the name tasted foreign. How colorful. The casual racism landed exactly as intended. Eric didn't flinch. About as colorful as Patterson, I suppose. My family's been in Texas since the 1820s. The silence that followed was delicious. Karen recovered with her signature fake sympathy. Well, I suppose those oil changes won't do themselves. Do give my regards to your little workspace. As we walked away, I heard her stage whisper, such a shame. Lauren had so much potential. In the car, Eric finally spoke. You know what tomorrow is? I shook my head, still vibrating with rage. We signed a lease on the new building. 12,000 square feet on Barton Springs Road. Think Karen would like her name on the customer blacklist. I laughed for the first time in weeks. No. When we win, and we will, I want her to drive past that building every single day and see my name in 3-foot brass letters. The long game. He nodded. She has no idea what we're building. None of them do. Then let's keep it that way, I said. For now, the fines kept rolling in. $350 for visible commercial equipment. $200 for unauthorized vehicle storage. Karen even cited me for excessive engine noise when I test-fired a restored 1967 Mustang at 7 a.m. Never mind that her own golden retriever barked at 6 a.m. Every day without consequence. At the next HOA meeting, she stood up, adjusted her pearls, and announced, "We simply cannot allow one resident's hobby to erode the aesthetic integrity we all worked so hard to maintain." I raised my hand. Question, Madam President. Does the rule apply equally to everyone? She smiled like a shark. Of course, dear. Rules are rules. I paid every fine. I never once raised my voice. Because every dollar she squeezed out of me went straight into LK Performance's expansion fund. While Karen was busy policing lawn height, I was hiring master technicians, ordering diagnostic equipment that cost more than her country club membership, and landing our first contract with a tech billionaire who needed his Ferrari SF90 maintained to track standards. Thanksgiving potluck at the clubhouse was pure theater. Karen had arranged place cards like we were at the Met Gala. I arrived in my new Tesla Model S, paid in cash, thank you very much. Karen took one look and smirked. Leasing above our means, are we? I smiled sweetly. Bought it outright. The table went quiet. Her husband coughed. My neighbor Jonathan, the HOA treasurer, raised an eyebrow. From fixing cars? From running a business, I replied calmly. Karen jumped in before anyone could process that. Her little garage, you know. She fixes cars for people. Little garage. The same little garage that now employed 15 people, had 7 service bays, and a 3-month waiting list. We'd just been featured in Austin Monthly as the premier exotic car destination in Central Texas. But to Karen, I was still playing mechanic. It's honest work, my neighbor's grandmother offered, patting my hand. Karen nodded with poisonous sweetness. Of course it is. Someone has to do the dirty jobs. I just think it's a shame when someone with Lauren's potential settles for blue-collar life. I started to answer, but Eric touched my arm under the table. Let go. They won't hear you. He was right. When I mentioned our new contract with the Circuit of the Americas for Formula One support, Karen smoothly redirected to her daughter Madison's residency at Johns Hopkins. When Eric tried to explain that we specialized in 6-figure supercars, Jonathan made a joke about fancy oil changes. The worst part was watching Eric endure the same subtle dismissals they'd given me for years. They never used his name, just Lauren's friend, or that boy she's seeing. When he mentioned his master's from UT Austin, Karen actually said, "How nice." Community colleges really do offer everything these days. Eric corrected her politely. She turned away and asked someone else about their bonus. That night, Eric and I sat on my back porch sharing a bottle of wine, trying to wash away the condescension. You know what kills me? I said. They think I'm a failure, but I cleared more last year than Jonathan makes at his firm. Eric whistled. And you're still letting them think you're broke? I swirl my glass. because they'd find a way to diminish it. Say it's temporary or not real money because it comes from cars. To them, anything involving engines is beneath notice, unless they're buying one, never fixing one. He was quiet a moment. Let them think what they want. While they're judging, we're building an empire. I laughed. Empire might be strong. He showed me his phone, an email from a Houston investor wanting to franchise the LK model. This was bigger than our 5-year plan. When they finally realize, he said, it won't be because you told them. It'll be because they can't ignore it anymore. The invitation arrived on thick cream cardstock with gold embossing. Karen's annual HOA appreciation gala at the new Serenity Spa she'd invested in. On the back she'd handwritten, Lauren, do try to come. And please dress appropriately. This is a high-end establishment. Perhaps leave the work clothes at home. Eric read it and whistled. Subtle as a sledgehammer. I almost tossed it, but some stubborn part of me still wanted to show up. 2 weeks later, Karen called. Not about the gala, of course. Lauren, darling, I have the most annoying problem. My Jaguar is making this horrible grinding sound. The dealership can't see me for 3 weeks. I don't suppose that boyfriend of yours knows anything about Jaguars. I bit my tongue so hard I tasted blood. Her 2018 F-Type was exactly the kind of car we specialized in. We'd restored 2 vintage E-Types last month alone. Bring it to LK Performance, I said evenly. We're at 1314 Barton Springs Road. LK Performance? She sounded amused. How professional. Is that what you're calling your little shop now? That's what it's been called for 7 years. And we're right next door to that new construction you drive past on your way to the club. Oh, that eyesore. Quite impressive, whatever they're building. My heart skipped. She'd been driving past our headquarters for months and had no idea. We can look at it for free, I told her. If work is needed, we'll quote you the same as any client. How generous, she replied, tone dripping with the belief that I should be grateful. I'll be there at 10. Do have someone competent look at it, won't you? It's not exactly a Toyota. After she hung up, I stared at the schedule. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock, we had 3 Ferraris, a McLaren getting a custom wrap, and a vintage Porsche in for full restoration. Karen's Jaguar would fit right in. Eric poked his head into my office. Sylvia, sorry, Karen, bring her Jag tomorrow? I grinned. She thinks she's coming to the old shop. Security will redirect everyone to the new building. She's about to walk in her own worst nightmare, wearing Louboutins. The morning of our grand opening, I arrived at 7 a.m. The 3-story glass and steel structure gleamed under Texas sun. Our logo was installed, but still draped for the reveal. Inside, the showroom displayed a 1963 Ferrari 250 GT that belonged to a tech billionaire. Local news vans were already setting up. Eric handed me coffee. Press wants an interview before the ribbon cutting. Austin Business Journal photographer in 20. Karen's coming at 10, I reminded him. She thinks it's the old 2-bay garage. He checked his tablet. Old building's locked. Everyone gets redirected here today. Perfect. By 9:45, the crowd was swelling. City council members, clients, other business owners, champagne stations everywhere. At 9:58, Karen's white Jaguar F-Type pulled into the lot. She sat there a long moment, clearly confused by the news vans and red ribbon. A security guard approached. I couldn't hear the words, but I saw him gesture toward the banner that read, LK Performance Grand Opening Today. Karen's face went through stages of confusion, then dawning horror. She walked toward the entrance, heels clicking, eyes climbing higher and higher until they locked on the facade. 3-foot brass letters spelling LK Performance Headquarters, founded by Lauren Kelly Est. 2015. She stopped dead. Our receptionist approached with a champagne flute. Ma'am, are you here for the grand opening? Karen's voice came out faint. There must be some mistake. I'm looking for my neighbor's garage. This is LK Performance, the receptionist chirped. Miss Kelly is about to cut the ribbon. Are you on the guest list? Her neighbor, Karen repeated like that explained everything. I decided it was time. I walked over in my cream designer suit that cost more than most mortgages heels that had never seen motor oil. Karen, I'm so glad you could make it. She turned, mouth opening and closing like a fish. Behind her, the Austin Business Journal photographer raised his camera. I don't know, what is this? She managed. Our new headquarters, I said simply. A $12 million project that will be Texas's largest independent luxury automotive service center. But don't worry, we can still look at your Jaguar. Our master technicians are the best in the state. Your headquarters? Her voice was barely a whisper. Lauren, the mayor's assistant appeared. They're ready for you. Mayor wants photos before the ribbon cutting. I smiled at Karen. Grab some champagne. I'll find you after the ceremony. I walked away, leaving her standing there like a statue. As the mayor and I posed, I could see her in my peripheral vision staring at the brass letters, then at me, then back at the building again and again. The ceremony blurred by. Mayor praised Austin's entrepreneurial spirit. The Automotive Association president praised our excellence. When it was my turn, I kept it short. 7 years ago, I started LK Performance with one belief. Luxury vehicles deserve service as exceptional as their engineering. Today, we employ 47 people, serve clients across Texas, and hold contracts with Formula One teams and international collectors. This building represents not just growth, but our commitment to pushing boundaries. The crowd applauded. The ribbon fell. The photographer caught Karen in the background, face a perfect mask of shock. Afterward, I found her standing by our company timeline display, staring at a photo of me shaking hands with the CEO of Ferrari North America. You never said, she whispered. All those meetings, all those fines, all those times she trailed off. You never asked, I replied gently. You assumed mechanic meant failure. So that's all you ever saw. The boyfriend you called mechanic is actually my director of engineering. He turned down Tesla to build this with me. She looked at me, really looked. Why didn't you tell us? Would you have believed me? Or would you have found a way to diminish it the way you diminished everything else? She had no answer. About your Jaguar, I continued, pulling out my phone. I can have someone look at it now, or you can schedule. We're booking 3 weeks out, but I'll make an exception for a neighbor. The irony hit her like a brick. 3 weeks, exactly what the dealership had told her. I should go, she said weakly. The valet has your keys. And Karen? Next time you tell the neighborhood, I'm just a mechanic. Remember that mechanics built the car you're driving. We just do it better than most. I watched her retreat to a corner of the showroom, champagne flute trembling. She looked smaller somehow. Eric appeared at my side. Formula One team is here. They want to discuss contract expansion. Give me 5 minutes, I said, eyes still on Karen. She was staring at another framed photo. Our crew at the Circuit of the Americas beside the Ferrari SF90 we maintained. The caption read, Official Technical Partner, United States Grand Prix. All this time, she murmured when I approached, you let me think, I let you think what you wanted to think, I corrected. You decided I was a failure the day I chose engines over whatever respectable career you imagined. Nothing I said would have changed that. But Formula One Ferrari, her voice cracked. Do you know what this means? I know what it cost, I interrupted. The rejection from 43 investors who didn't think a woman could run a high-performance shop. The nights Eric and I slept in the old garage because we'd spent rent money on equipment. She flinched. Around us, the party continued. Clients admired the restored Lamborghini Miura. The mayor chatted with my senior engineers. A photographer captured the massive Ferrari logo etched into our reception desk. Your neighbors never said anything, Karen said weakly. They knew. They just learned not to mention it after you laughed at them for being proud of me. I saw the memory hit her. Last Easter, when someone tried to brag about my big client, and Karen cut them off with a comment about how at least her daughter's patients were actual people, not machines. Lauren, a client called. Come tell the senator about the Bugatti project. I'll be right there. I answered, then turned back to Karen. This is what success looks like in my world. Not white coats or corner offices, but this, something I built from nothing, creating jobs, pushing boundaries. She set her glass down with shaking hands. I owe you an apology. I don't need it, I said, and realized I meant it. Your approval stopped mattering years ago. She glanced at Eric across the room. That boyfriend, he seems brilliant. He just got offered a position with Mercedes-AMG. Turn it down to stay here because we're building something bigger than either of us alone. More people were calling my name. The Attorney General had arrived. The Chamber of Commerce president wanted to discuss our apprenticeship program. I should let you go, Karen said, gathering her purse. Your public awaits. Karen, I called as she turned. She looked back, hope flickering. The offer still stands. We'll fix your Jaguar whenever you're ready. We even give a 10% neighbor discount. Her face cycled through shock, then resignation. You're charging me? Of course. This is a business, not charity. But don't worry, we're worth it. Ask anyone here. I gestured at the crowd of successful, powerful people celebrating what the entire neighborhood had dismissed as playing with cars. How do I tell everyone? That's your problem, not mine. But if you need help explaining, tell them to Google us. We're on page 1 of the Wall Street Journal business section. Women revolutionizing traditionally male industries. I walked away toward the VIPs. Eric intercepted Karen before she could leave. Mrs. Patterson, let me walk you to your car. If you'd like, I can have someone look at that grinding noise right now. No charge for diagnosis. Consider it a neighborly courtesy. 20 minutes later, while I discussed expansion plans with the mayor, Eric reappeared. Catalytic converter failing. Marco's giving her the quote now. She nearly fainted when she realized our junior technician drives a Porsche he bought with his performance bonus. Asked him 3 times if he was sure he worked here. We shared a look. This was better than any screaming match, slow, inexorable realization that everything she believed about me, about Eric, about success itself had been dead wrong. Oh, Eric added. She asked if we could keep the repair quiet. Doesn't want the neighborhood to know she needed our help. I told her we maintained strict client confidentiality. Then I gave her our premium customer packet, the one with all the press clippings. I laughed for real. You're terrible. Learn from the best, he said, kissing my cheek. Now go. The governor just arrived. She specifically asked to meet the woman redefining automotive excellence in Texas. I caught a glimpse of Karen's Jaguar pulling out of our service bay, running smoothly. She'd probably never admit we fixed it. She'd probably never tell the board about today. But she'd know. Every time she drove past this building on her way to the country club, every time she saw our name in the business pages, every time someone mentioned their exotic car needed service, she'd know. And for a woman who thrived on control, that knowledge was going to eat her alive. The floodgates opened 2 days later. First, my neighbor Madison texted at 6 a.m., Karen sent me a Wall Street Journal article about you. Is this real? Then Jonathan, the HOA treasurer, why didn't you tell us about the Formula One contracts? By noon, my phone was exploding with messages from people I hadn't heard from in years. Suddenly, everyone wanted to catch up. My mother, who still lived 3 streets over, called 3 times before I answered. They're all asking me about your company. Karen told them you own some massive building downtown. Is it true about Ferrari? It's been true for 3 years, Mom. But you never mentioned it at block parties. You just sat there while they mocked me. Long pause. Your grandmother wants to have lunch. She says she's proud of you. She's proud now. The bitterness slipped out. Where was that pride when Karen was calling Eric just a mechanic at the last gala? Lauren, I'm not angry. I'm just done. They don't get to dismiss me for years and then claim credit for my success. The neighborhood wasn't finished trying. That weekend, I received a formal invitation to the next HOA board appreciation dinner at Karen's house. The same monthly gathering I'd stopped attending after she spent an entire evening comparing my grease monkey job to Madison's residency. Eric found me staring at it. Going, why would I? Closure, he suggested. Or comedy. Watching them backpedal could be entertaining. I thought about it. Part of me wanted to walk in with my head high and watch them scramble to rewrite history. But a bigger part was tired. I have better things to do, like prep for the Racing Technology Summit. I'm keynoting in Monaco next month. Eric grinned. Want to know something funny? Karen called the shop yesterday. Wants to expedite service on her husband's classic Mustang. Apparently, she told her country club friend her neighbor owns LK Performance, and now they all want in. I told her we'd be happy to add him to the wait list. Current availability 4 months out. 4 months. I laughed. That's harsh. That's business. We're booked solid. Although I did offer one alternative. We have a cancellation next week, but it's premium hours, double rate. She already confirmed and paid the deposit. Sylvia, Karen, Patterson had paid double rate. Apparently having the neighborhood connection to LK Performance was worth more to her social circle than money. It was perfect. She was finally valuing what I'd built, but only because it gave her bragging rights. The Texas Monthly Reporter arrived the following week for a feature on family. Well, neighborhood, businesses. Do your neighbors work in the company? No, I said simply. LK Performance was built entirely outside the HOA structure. She leaned forward. Karen Patterson mentioned at the country club that she's very proud of your achievements. Said the neighborhood always knew you were destined for greatness. I couldn't help it, I laughed. Did she? How interesting. You disagree? I think people's memories become surprisingly flexible when success stories appear. It's human nature to want to have always believed in the winner. After the reporter left, I stood at my office window looking out at the Austin skyline. My phone buzzed with yet another cousin, neighbor, congratulating me on my overnight success. Overnight. 7 years of 18-hour days, risking everything, fighting for every contract in a male-dominated industry. But sure, overnight. Eric knocked and entered. Your mom called the front desk again. Wants to know if you're coming to the next HOA dinner. Tell her I'm in meetings all day, which isn't technically a lie. You have that video conference with the Tokyo team at noon. Thanks. I turned from the window. You know what? Send Karen a gift certificate for a free oil change. Make sure it expires in 30 days. Eric raised an eyebrow. That's petty. That's closure. I corrected. She can frame it and tell her friends about her successful neighbor. What she can't do is use it. We don't do basic oil changes anymore. He laughed. I love you. I know, I said, smiling. And that's the only approval I need. The ribbon cutting was 6 months behind us when I stood on the rooftop terrace of our building watching the sunset paint the Austin skyline gold. The Texas Monthly article had just dropped, featuring LK Performance as one of Texas's most innovative companies. The reporter had woven in Karen's convenient revisionism beautifully, letting her words hang themselves without comment. Eric joined me with 2 glasses of champagne. The Monaco Summit wants to extend your keynote to 45 minutes. Pre-registration tripled after they announced you. Just another overnight success, I said, taking a glass. Speaking of the neighborhood, he showed me his phone, an email from my mom forwarding a message from Karen. She wanted to book our private event space for her company's anniversary party and specifically requested exotic cars on display to showcase the neighborhood connection to automotive excellence. The audacity made me smile. Approve it, of course. Full market rate. She wants to use my success as a backdrop. She can pay for it like everyone else. We stood in comfortable silence as city lights began to twinkle. 3 years ago, this had been an empty lot. Now LK Performance employed 67 people, held contracts on 3 continents, and had just been approved for a second location in Houston. You know what the best part is? I said finally. What? I genuinely don't care anymore. Not about their approval, their sudden pride. It's just noise. When did that happen? I thought about it. Somewhere between our first Formula One contract and realizing I hadn't thought about Karen's opinion in months. Success isn't just the best revenge. It's the best cure for giving a damn. My phone buzzed again, another neighbor asking if I could get them Grand Prix tickets. I silenced it without reading. I have something to tell you, Eric said, voice shifting. Mercedes called again. They doubled their offer. My stomach dropped. And I told them I'm not interested in being anyone's employee when I'm already partner in an empire. He pulled a small box from his pocket. The ring caught the last sunlight, throwing sparkles across the terrace. Classic solitaire in a modern setting. Elegant engineering at its finest. You're seriously proposing on the roof of our building? Where else? This is where it all started. Where you told me your dreams, where we bet everything on ourselves. He dropped to one knee. Lauren Kelly, will you? Yes. I interrupted, laughing through sudden tears. Yes, of course. He slipped the ring on. Perfect fit, precise engineering, as always. We should probably tell our families, he said after a long kiss. Yours definitely. Mine, I shrugged. They'll find out when the wedding announcement runs in the society pages. Karen subscribes to all of them. You don't want to invite them? I want to invite people who celebrated our journey, not just our destination. The team who worked 18-hour days. The clients who believed in us when we were in a two-bay garage. The mentors who guided us. That's our real family. Eric nodded. Small wedding, massive party downstairs in the showroom, surrounded by the cars we brought back to life and the people who helped build this dream. I love it. I love you. I know, I said, admiring how the ring caught the light. And that's still the only approval I need. A year later, the Austin Chronicle ran a feature on our wedding. The headline read, Austin's automotive power, couple celebrates in style. They noted the absence of traditional family, neighborhood, portraits, focusing instead on images of our team, our clients, our chosen family raising glasses among millions of dollars in pristine machinery. Karen sent a card. Inside she'd written, I always knew you were special. Congratulations on finding someone who sees it too. I kept the card, not out of sentiment, but as a reminder that success doesn't need to be loud or vengeful. Sometimes it's as quiet as building something beautiful while the doubters aren't watching. Sometimes it's as simple as choosing your own definition of achievement. And sometimes it's standing in the garage you built from nothing, surrounded by people who believe in your dreams before they became reality, knowing that the only validation that ever mattered was your own. The building still bears my name in those brass letters. Every day people drive past it, including Karen on her way to the country club, but I rarely think about that anymore. I'm too busy building the future to dwell on the past. Success, I've learned, isn't about proving anyone wrong. It's about proving yourself right. And I was right all along. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I'd love to know where you're tuning in from. Drop a comment below and let's connect. If this HOA Karen drama resonated with you, please consider subscribing to the channel and sharing your own thoughts about neighborhood bullies, petty rules, and following your dreams despite the doubters. Your support means the world to me. And remember, the next time your HOA Karen measures your grass with a ruler, just smile. Build quietly. Let success speak so loudly that even the loudest bully is forced to listen. Because the sweetest revenge isn't confrontation. It's letting your empire do the talking while they're still busy writing citations. Drive safe out there, and I'll see you in the next story.